Hey everyone, welcome back to the Predictive Playbook. I'm your host, John Ryan. We had some technical difficulties. Manny's Pub is an old structure and very thick walls, and on any given day we can have a overcast sky, and it just doesn't come through very well, but hopefully it's coming through well for you guys out there. I can put up with a little bit of static. I can put up with just about anything. So welcome to the show. I have Jimmy Adams on for the second time today, one of the few guys that comes on twice a day, once a week, thank goodness for him, right? And Rob Vino, who's on every day with me. So welcome, guys, to the show. We're going to bring on Don Buster here in about 5 minutes, but we're going to get right to it here. Jimmy Adams has a free pick in Major League Baseball, and the opponent is those Arizona Diamondbacks, who are on a one-game winning streak. Good for them. What do you have for us, Jimmy?
Yeah, John, a one-game winning streak. We're not splitting the atom here. We're not overthinking this one. The Diamondbacks are on the fade list until further notice. They've lost 17 straight, which was a franchise record, and they've lost 31 of 33 prior to the 5-1 win that they got last night. They're going to have to show me and my clients that they can do better and string together some wins in a row. We got Freddie Peralta on the mound, 6-2 with a 2.28 ERA. He's been a consistent starter all year long. I think he's only had one start that wasn't of the quality variety. Last time out, 2 runs, 5 hits, no walks, 6 Ks in 7 innings. He allowed 1 run in each of his 2 starts prior to that. And then on the other side, we're looking at Zach Gallen, who was injured for 5 weeks and had his first start back from injury. He faced the Giants, threw only 2.2 innings and allowed 4 runs. So this line, I gave it out and bet it myself at minus 150. It has actually dipped. It was 140 when I gave it out on the show this morning. And it is a little bit higher than 140, right around the 140 mark, though. So far away on the Brewers tonight as the Diamondbacks get back to their losing ways.
And I know Rob will have some support for that too, I believe, especially with the pitcher for Milwaukee having such a breakout season as we talked about this morning. Guys just pitching really, really well. Yeah, the only thing that bothered me throughout the day since we did the show, Jimmy, is why is this minus 140 and not like 180? And there was a little steam this morning from Wise Guy money, but that has since kind of vanished.
Right. And I don't think there's a lot of faith in the Brewers offense at the moment. And it's not like they're on a huge winning streak. But, yeah, I agree. It definitely should be higher. What are your thoughts, Rob?
Well, the line is probably where it is, guys, because Zach Gallen would be the most respected name on the Arizona staff. And, these odds makers for as long as I've been in business and 30 years before that, they set the numbers according to starting pitching. So Freddie Peralta is not named Corbin Burns or Brandon Woodruff, so he gets less respect in the number. Gallen gets more. That's probably why we are where we are here. The early money that came towards Arizona is certainly, it's not because they're playing streaks, but maybe they believe that Gallen's second start off the IL will go a little smoother than the first one did. He is a kid with great stuff. That trade could end up and should end up working out for both sides. Jazz Chisholm for the Marlins and Zach Gallen here for the Diamondbacks, but we'll see. That's really the answer to why the line is where it is and why it hasn't budged since then. I think Milwaukee will get their share of support, and people are probably a little afraid to go to the counter right now with the Diamondbacks for sure.
I would have to agree. It's Steve Merril says it's to catch the falling knife. We did a show together today before this one. Every Tuesday we do a show, and it's connecting the financial markets to sports betting and the similarities. And we focus on Bitcoin and Endeavor stock, which is the UFC, which went public about 4 weeks ago, MGM, a few others, and showed a picture of Apple versus Bitcoin. And I said, which one would you rather own? And clearly Apple was trending up. Bitcoin, actually, I did say it on the show, it looks like the Arizona Diamondbacks. It is not a pretty sight. So let's bring on Don Buster here. Welcome to the show, Don. We had a little bit of technical difficulty.
Yeah, truthfully, John, I was watching a little bit on Twitter, and The static is still pretty
Still
loud.
there.
Yeah, it's pretty loud. So I just thought I'd let you know ahead of time because I know you run the show for a while and not sure how your followers will be liking to listen to the static. I can hear you guys perfectly, and there is static in my ear. I can deal with it, but I'm not too sure people watching out there will be too thrilled. But you know what? Nothing wrong with sticking around and getting some free picks, even if there is a little static, right, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I keep running these IP tests, to see what could be causing it, and it's connecting to the Las Vegas Department of Motor Vehicles for some reason. And that's where Tony Finn is right now.
I was just going to say that's Tony's fault for sure.
So I don't know if he's trying to log into the show or what, but Tony, if you're trying to log in with your cell phone, cease. But anyway, welcome to the show, Bus. We do apologize for the static. I've done hundreds and hundreds of shows, and I've never once had this happen. I have no idea what it is, but we'll get through it. So,
there's no problem. It's live. It happens, right?
That's it. Buster, I want to show you, because you're an NHL guy, I want to show you something I ran this morning. It was pretty, I don't even like admitting when I was doing this because it was too early. And because I was resetting it so many times, I actually have to upload it here real quick. But let's do your free pick, and then we'll get back to this Tampa Bay situation I have for tomorrow night, because you're a hockey guru, and I want to see what you think of it.
Well, my free pick. Oh, I didn't realize we were going to get right into free picks right away. I was going to maybe chat with the boys about a few things, but okay.
Well, you can.
Free pick it is. No, we're in the pub. Just want to see what everybody's having to drink. If we're having a shot of tequila like we do here in Mexico, if we're just having a cerveza. But tonight I put out a free pick, and as people that follow all the shows on Wager Talk and Sports Memo, you know that there's a free pick page that you go on for us, Sports Memo for Rob at Wager Talk. Go on there. Lots of free plays every day. So you guys go over there, check those out, check these shows out, and you'll get some free plays. So I already put this free play up on Sports Memo, but what I'm going to go with tonight is Montreal and Vegas are playing. As a lot of people know from watching me on Puck Time, I am a lifelong Montreal Canadiens fan. So, but I really don't. Once it comes to the playoffs, I usually do not. I will not bet them for the game. I did actually bet them for the series that the series would at least go 6 games. So my clients have already cashed that. But I try to stay away because this is the only team of all professional sports that it's important, I guess we could just say. And being Canadian, it is very important, as Canada's hockey's our Canadians' game. So, anyways, tonight Vegas got that big win the last game and tied up the series. They got the overtime win, so they're going to be carrying a ton of momentum with them going into tonight's game. At this time, it actually looks like Fleury's going to start. He was first off the ice, so that's usually the indication. And I'm kind of surprised at that. I was on the Puck Time show today saying that I thought Lehner would start only because he won that last game. And but that might be good for Montreal. It might be good for this play too now. So what we're going to do here is play. Montreal is actually dominated the first periods of this game. For whatever reason, Vegas starts slow. It's been like that maybe for a couple of years. Like the Vegas just a slow starting team. They got talent galore, but very slow starting team. They've been outplayed probably every first period of this series so far. Both games in Vegas, they were outplayed, although they did win the first one. So it's a split on those in Vegas. We're going to go with Montreal first period on the money line. So if it's 0-0 or 1-1 at the end, you push. But we're getting plus 175 here, and that just seems to be too much. Too much for a Montreal club that knows if they come into this game and they give up the lead early, it's going to be a long night, kind of like what happened with the Islanders last night on the road. So Montreal first period money line plus 175 is our free play.
Awesome. Awesome, Don. I know you're going to be leaving at about 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to go join your entourage.
Yeah.
And
We have a little dinner going before that's going to be a late game, and we're an hour back, so it's a 9 Eastern, 8 o'clock where we are. So yeah, gonna have a little early lunch, little early supper, a few beers, some nice fresh fish that we got out of this beautiful Gulf of Mexico that I'm by, and then get into watching that hockey game. So looking forward to tonight, of course, because as a team for Montreal, they weren't picked to be here, but they're playing like a team that deserves to be here, and it would not shock us if they win and have a good chance of winning this cup.
yeah, I love it. And it's your team. What could be better?
Yeah. They're big underdogs, and I understand that, but hey, always like play. I'm a dog player anyway, so that kind of works out.
And I know you won't injure yourself if it doesn't go your way, like we saw Sunday night in South Philly with the Sixers loss. They get injured. They overindulge.
Well, when I was a young guy, John, that might have been me. I was actually in Montreal in 1993, the last time they won the cup. I was at that game 5 against LA, and it was pretty crazy that night because there was riots going on. I don't know why you riot when you win, but even then, I was a young buck then, and I still wasn't rioting, but we were partying it up. But yeah, I saw a lot of that stuff in Philly, John, and you know what? Yeah, that's no good for anybody when you start hurting yourself like that.
That's why Rob and I don't live there. We just
Well,
comment on.
I thought you guys did live in Philly, or just outside of Philly,
Oh,
obviously.
not postal address.
Oh, I see. But you're still a Philly fan, though, John. So I guess my condolences go out to you for that Game 7.
I'm a confused sports fan. We're more of a sports family. We had a nephew who played in the NFL for 8 years. Was a starting tight end, and I had Phillies tickets for 21 years. Even though I was working up in New York, I would come back down. Family would go to the games, and I like the Sixers. I don't care much for the Celtics. I like the Red Sox. I like the Patriots. Don't care too much for the Eagles. So I'm like all mixed up. But generally, I'm very even. Like we don't get nuts. It's 28-3 in the Super Bowl against the Falcons. I didn't throw things at the TV. I didn't tell my guests to leave. And it's entertainment. At the end of the day, it's entertainment, and that's what it is. So, I kind of like pulling for the underdogs. I think you guys have seen that, especially in the PGA. It's nice to see Phil Mickelson, for example, do what he did. And now I'm not sure which is the underdog in the 4 remaining NBA teams, but I do know Montreal is the underdog in the NHL. So I grew up, and I think Rob did too, and maybe Jimmy never even heard of this, but I remember the Flying Canadians with Guy Lafleur, and what a team that was, right?
Steve Shutt, Larry Robinson, Guy Lapointe, Ken Dryden in that. Yeah, there was
Dryden was amazing.
Some good teams in the 70s. I was a very young young boy actually then, but I've been a diehard Canadian fan since '67, basically, when I wanted to be a St. Louis Blues fan, and my uncle said, no, you cheer for that team there, as he pointed to the TV. And so I could have been a diehard St. Louis Blues fan, turned into be a diehard Canadian fan.
Yeah, there's 2 Sports Illustrated covers that influenced my life, and I was single digits in terms of age. One was Sports Illustrated with the Flying Canadians, and then the other one was who's that athlete that won the decathlon in '76? Yeah.
I don't know. Can you say any names like that now?
I don't know anymore. I'll check with the producers, but yeah.
I'm not sure what the politically correct answer would be there, so I will take the fifth, as they say.
And being that I was an All-American swimmer a long time ago, Mark Spitz was on there. But then in '76, I named John Neighbor. Was a guy who did real well in the '76 Olympics. South Africa, Rob, you'll love this. South Africa boycotted the Olympics that year, and they held the U.S. Nationals at Kelly Pool in Philadelphia in Fairmount Park, which even back then was not a pool that was going to be fast. It was very old, outdoors, just not the type of pool to really host a U.S. championship, but it was right after the Olympics. So this guy, Jonty Skinner, was the first guy I ever saw a world record. And he actually broke the 100-meter free in world record time in poor conditions. Like if you had the 100-meter dash through mud. And it was really amazing to see that, you know. But anyway, a little off track here, but it was a good Philadelphia story there. You know, hopefully Jimmy's writing these things down.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know a thing about hockey, guys. Growing up in Reno, we really didn't even know what hockey was. There were no teams or anything like that, like in your high school. If you want, I think I knew one guy who played hockey growing up, and you had to join a club. And now, you know, Vegas has the Knights, and they have such a great fan base, and it's becoming a more well-known thing. But in Reno, growing up, yeah, hockey was not very big. So I defer to experts like Buster when it comes to my NHL selections, right?
Oh, I agree. But I do have something for him to look at here. And I'm just got it right here. So here we are. Tampa Bay scored 8 goals last night. And there's been 10 times in history that this has happened. And I might have sent this chart to you guys earlier this morning. So, of course, the way I operate in my mind, wow, 8-0. How many times has that happened in history? And then what happens to those teams in the next game? Because that's really what we're all about, right? We want to know what's going to happen next. So I started a hashtag on Twitter, WHN, or hashtag what happens next. So you can see here the games on the top part of the chart are the games where 8 goals were scored. And in 2011, again, I guess we're on a Philly thing today, but the Flyers played the Penguins, and in back-to-back games, there was double digits scored in goals. The Flyers won 8-4, and they followed that up with a loss of 10-3 to the Penguins 2 days apart back in the 2011 season. April 13th of 2012, April 15th of 2012, a Friday and a Sunday. And there hasn't been a scoring barrage like that since. However, we want to know what happens next. And what happens next is you would think of like a regression. You know, like an NBA team scores 150 points. They probably not going to do that again, especially if they're not a good offensive team. So in this situation, believe it or not, Tampa Bay scoring 8 or more goals is in an 8-1 situation to eliminate the Islanders tomorrow night. Now that alone is just one piece of a solid handicap, and believe me, an expert like Don, like Buster does, is not based on just this alone. But I do want to see what he says, and if this has merit, or if this is one of those where, as Tony Finn calls it, my JR value, which is the statistical P value, by the way. For some reason, he didn't like me saying that way, but it measures the correlation between the parameters and how well and meaningful they work together to produce predictive value. I can tell you that this actually, leading the witness here a little bit, has a very high p-value associated with it. So it's something where I see 8-1 and I go, well, wow, it's likely to be 9-1. And I'm just curious if you agree with that.
Well, John, I'm not too sure. Actually, you were nice enough to send that. Oh, there we go. Couldn't see myself for a minute there. You were nice enough to send that out to me early this morning. I saw that. We both, I think I had talked to you earlier last week maybe about I had played the Islanders in this series at plus 220. So when I saw that, it brought to my attention that, you know what, maybe I don't bet the Islanders tomorrow and I just sit back and watch and cheer for the Islanders, because that's a hell of a stat. And I know you guys are all big on analytics. You and I believe Rob are analytic guys. And when you see this, that's more than just a stat. There's no doubt about that. That is more than just a stat because they're playing the next game, correct?
Yep.
So, but what that stat for me doesn't take into consideration, which in this year you have a New York Islanders club who I can argue to say that has been just as good as this Tampa Bay club, except for last night. But those first 4 games, the Islanders could be up 3-1 right now. But one thing in their big favor to me is that there's going to be 14,500 crazy fans in Uniondale, New York tomorrow night. And I think that home ice advantage tomorrow will put this game to a game 7. But seeing a stat like that if I'm betting the game, it drops my play a bit. Or because I do have money on the series, I might just watch and hope for the Islanders to play as well as they've been playing in these NHL playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know hockey well enough to put, what would be the word, Buster, in hockey lingo? I mean, this is worse than a beatdown, right? 8-0. I mean, it's a shutout.
Yeah. I would just call it a beatdown. I don't know. I don't think we take people behind the woodshed in hockey, but I know that's a term us old guys like to use. I see Rob smiling. I hear Rob doesn't smile too often, so I'm glad I can get him smiling a little bit with an old saying that we like to say. But that was a beatdown last night, and Tampa Bay got a couple little good puck luck, as we like to say. Once that puck luck went their way, then they got their really, really good power play working. Islanders took a lot of dumb penalties, and as they say, live to fight another day. The Islanders were done.
Yeah. And by the way, Jesse Schul's in the chat room. He's also on sportsmemo.com, and he's going to be making his debut on Manny's Pub on Friday afternoon. And I believe we're scheduled for a one-on-one show. So Buster and Jimmy, if you want to warn him about what he has to face with me, by all means, send him a slack. But I'm, probably the most laid-back host around, right, Rob? Say yes.
Well, I mean, in comparison to Prez, yeah.
Yeah. But is that true, Buster, that they burned down the arena in the 50s?
It's very possible. I'm not too sure about that, but there has been a lot of riots in Montreal. It's a little crazy. Even in Vancouver, when Vancouver went to the Stanley Cup there in the 90s, they had riots. I'm not too. I really have never understand that psychology or psyche of the fans, where once you win, you even damage stuff. Maybe I see some teams losing, so be it. But I'm not one of those guys that are. I'm a big diehard fan, and I've been in a lot of bar fights when I was younger. That's no doubt about that. But as far as to damage other people's property and that, there's no need for that kind of nonsense.
Yeah, I agree. Rob, I have to say, back in '93 when the Phillies lost to Toronto in the World Series, Mitch Williams actually made a tremendous pitch, and it just happened to be hit for a home run, ending the series. And unfortunately, people found out where Mitch Williams lived and actually lit his garage on fire.
That's
and
crazy.
Obviously, fortunately, he was not there, but that's where you have to draw the line. And you have to realize somehow that you're ordering people's lives in addition to your own. And I mean, is it really worth that? I mean, does that really send a message to him to never throw a perfect slider anymore and have it hit out of the park for a home run? Rob, who was the guy who hit the home run?
Joe Carter.
Joe Carter.
Yes, Joe Carter. For some reason, I guess on my 8th show I get brain dead, but yeah. That was not a bad pitch. I mean, it's just a situation, and that's how it goes.
They play that video all the time on Canadian sports stations, TSN. Touch them all, Joe. Touch them all.
There it is.
Yeah.
Sorry to the Philly fans out there. That happens.
Well, I mean, when I watch The Bachelorette, I don't watch it. I just watch it, because I'm required to. I don't get upset if the wrong guy's picked. I'm not looking for, to burn down her garage or something. I mean, come on. I mean,
now, how do you know the wrong guy's picked though? Is there?
He means the guy he doesn't like.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, it could be my opinion or it could be public opinion off of Twitter.
Of guys on the show? I've never watched a show. Is there a ranking like this guy's 6-5 to win?
Oh, yeah.
Or this guy's 9-5 to win.
Yeah. I actually think there's.
Start watching it.
We get further into this. I think there's actually there are exotic bets at some of these weird places. Yeah.
John's
so maybe we ought to look at
database
that.
on it, Don.
I can. And do the machine learning, TensorFlow, all that stuff on it. Yeah, I'm sure we could come up with some value.
The limits on that got to be super low because the shows take in advance, right? So the inside information would be way available to the public. So there's no way you can get down more than $50 on one of those bets.
Well, we can always do this. I mean, in review, this is my Python tool. It goes into Twitter, and this is before game one, the Sixers sentiment. Public betting community, positive, right? And then we go, this is after the 26-point lead that turned into a loss. That was the biggest negative reading I've ever seen since I've been doing this for 2 years. Didn't even think it was mathematically possible. And then, this was before game 7, I think, Rob. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It goes through 1,111 tweets identifying stop words. And there's 10,000 stop words. It's a repository that's commonly used. MIT came up with the repository, and you can use it for anything. I did it for the presidential elections. I can do it for anything. And we could do it for The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, whatever show this is, if you guys want me to. I mean, it wouldn't take long. Whatever their handle is, I create the hashtag, and we could measure who's popular and who's not.
You know, John's bringing a whole nother fan base to the Manny's Pub show here. So
he's trying.
Well, Jimmy, I mean, I don't know if you're married or not, but you might be the next Bachelor.
Oh, that's a little bit of a reach, but I'll take the compliment. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I do have a NBA betting angle of the day here to show you guys. And we'll get rid of this little pie chart. So this was on the Wager Talk NBA tip-off show too, I believe. And let me get rid of the commentary there. So here we go. Bet on favorites, 4.5 or more points in a playoff game. The total is between 215 and 225. Our home favorite is leading in the series. Bang, 57-12. 83%, 43-22 for 67% the last 7 NBA playoff seasons. 25-6 straight up, 81%, and 21-10 ATS for 68% last 3 NBA playoff seasons. Clearly tells you to bet on the Phoenix Suns minus the points over the Clippers tonight in Game 2 to take a commanding 2-0 lead in the Western Conference Finals. I have 2 questions for you guys, 1 and 1A. One is, why did I use 7 playoff seasons and not 10 or 5? The second one is, why did I then do a subset of 3? And Rob is he can answer last. Because this comes up on the NBA tip-off show all the time. Right, Rob? Like, what, 7 years? But Steve Merril always knows. The reason is that the totals, 215 to 225, were uncommon prior to the 2014 season. And the closer you get to the mid-90s, you basically didn't have a total over 200. This was the first year where we did not have a total in the regular season below 200. It was right on the nose 200. The high was 248.5. The range being 48.5 points, and over the last 3 seasons, that range between high and low in the totals has been basically the same, running between 42 and 46 points. Scoring 4 years ago was 106.2. It then jumped 5 points to 111.4, 111.8 last year, 112.2 this year. So when you do queries like this, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic about it, the evolution of a game is very important to note. And based on that, I'm giving Major League Baseball some of my queries. I'm considering giving a tweak because the batting averages are just not what we're used to seeing. And it's been a trend going lower and lower. But, I have queries that if Team A is playing a team batting 250 or less on the season, well, that's just about everybody. Five years ago, 250 was kind of like horrid. It was not good. I remember when the Red Sox the one year, Rob, you can back me up on this. I believe it was 98. They had one guy in the starting 9 that was batting under 300. One. And now, you're lucky if you have 2. But I think once they get rid of the substance that these pitchers have been using, as Tony Finn said, I guess he says cheating or whatever. I am kidding. That maybe the batting averages will go up. But that's how you do queries. You just can't randomly say take this parameter as it stands right now. This set of 3 parameters gives you a 50% result. But all of a sudden I add, if the game is played on Tuesday night, it goes to 70%. That's worthless. Absolutely worthless. Because there's no correlation between the 3 parameters and the day of the week. And as Tony likes to say, and Rob, we have our McDonald's betting systems, Major League Baseball teams that go through the drive-through for lunch at 11 a.m. local time and have a game at 1:30 are terrible. Isn't that right, Rob?
Tony loves that angle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you always bet against them. And he talks to the guys he talks to everybody. He knows who's going through the drive-through. But me, I think he knows the guys are going through the drive-through at like 4 in the morning. I think that's better value, I think, is what he said, but I could be wrong. We have Kevin Riley. Here he is. Let's see what he says. Which player or plays do you like better for a $500 wager? And here they are. I bought a lot of picks from Jimmy Adams. Well, that's smart. Most all winning plays. Yeah. Yeah, Kevin, you should see Jimmy on my show this morning. He's West Coast time, so he really wasn't quite, up to speed yet, and understandably so. But I just loved how he said, "Yeah, it's going pretty good, John. About 82 games now. Major League Baseball best bets hitting right around 72%."
Yeah, that
it was awesome.
That show is quite early for me. I literally roll out of bed and we're live at 7 a.m. West Coast time. So I take my notes and I jump on and do the best I can. But yeah, when I went back and watched the show, I definitely looked half asleep. But Kevin,
you didn't look half asleep. You almost looked like Ski Prophet. Like if he
just super laid back, huh?
Yeah, super laid back, and any more laid back, you might fall asleep. But you didn't look tired. It didn't look like you were tired.
Good.
Not at all.
I'm glad it didn't come off that way. Kevin, thanks for buying the plays. Hopefully I can continue the run I'm on. I'm getting multiple calls, so I'm going to have to actually exit the show here. But real quick, you got the free play on the Brewers. It's a rare day that I'm giving out 3 MLB plays today. So one is also a 5-unit big ticket selection. So, yeah, 72% since May 7th. And 5-unit big ticket is an underdog, and it is a line that I think is extremely mispriced in the betting market. So go over to Sports Memo. I keep everything super affordable. Most of my plays are $9 on a daily basis. The most you'll ever have to pay is $20, and we're looking to go 3-0 today. So join Kevin. Thanks again for listening, and thanks to Rob, Buster, and John for having me. And good luck.
Anytime, Jimmy.
Good luck tonight.
You got it, man. Have a good night. Good luck to you.
Take care, Jimmy.
I guess I'll just comment on Kevin's question as well. So if he's bought my play, he also knows what my write up and what I feel about it. Regardless of there's always going to be stats and trends, and that's one thing you should know. We've all done this a long time. We can all sit there and pick out stats and trends and everything that will be one side or the other. I could say to Rob Vino, Rob, NFL football game, Washington's -3 against the Philadelphia Eagles, and give me a reason why I should bet both teams, and I know Rob could do that. and that's just
Yeah.
the way it is sometimes. So you have to sometimes go with the guy that's done well for you. For you to just come and ask which one is the best one to put it on, it wouldn't be fair for us to even try to answer that question, Kevin. So I don't, I just so you know. I don't know if you guys want to
bet is
put
a
your
big
2
bet.
cents in on that.
It's a big bet. It's I'm not going to advise anybody on what a big bet is. It's all relative. I mean, if we were talking about Michael Jordan, it'd be 50,000. But
again, it might not be a big bet for Kevin, right? So
right.
It might not be. So and it's anyways, it doesn't matter what it is for me and you guys, but he's asking about since he's bought all of our picks. I just wanted to give him an answer on, it's not fair for me to say, yeah, you know what, just take mine, and because you just saw a stat going against my play, right? But I also got my play +6 yesterday that I put out to all my clients. So, and a lot of people on here have bought the play, and I actually sent out today saying, you know what, I think you guys changed the line on this. I think that's how many people bought my play that they knocked down the line to where it is now. So, anyways, Kevin,
that's a good point. I didn't even realize that I just now getting through that. Being the host, sometimes you can't see exactly what you're putting out. I thought he was talking about a player prop.
No, he's talking about tonight's
because he said
game.
Which players.
Yeah.
Which play? Oh, I see. I misread it. Yeah. Okay. But again, I mean, adding on to that point, Buster, I do a lot of work. That's predictive tools. I've been doing it all my life. From Wall Street to this, and it's a tool. It's not a crystal ball.
I'm hoping this time this tool's not doing too good tonight.
Well,
that's
I want to point one thing out though, and what people really should understand is that when they see these systems, right? That's just one piece, and it all starts with my predictive tools that then say out of these 50 games, especially in college football, you have 120 games. Out of these 120 games, you're now down to 12 because of those models and those tools. And then you look at how those teams do based on the predictions that the models come up with. So in basketball for NBA, teams that score 112 points or more, which is the league average in a game, if they're predicted to do that, that's usually a good sign. You guys have seen me do ones with assist-to-turnover ratio. So, Sixers are outstanding when they score, or when they used to score 115 points and have the better assist-to-turnover ratio than the opponent. So it's not complex, mathematics. It may be coming up with a predictive of what the models think is going to happen. But then when you apply history to it, it's another piece, and then you have a supporting system. So that system is not, if you bet systems, and I guarantee you this, you take a set of systems, and I have over 5,000 of them, all sports. I'll give you the ones that have hit 75% over the last 3 years, and I would almost be willing to bet a large sum of money that you'll end up a loser if you continue to bet those monster percentage systems that over the short term have done real, real well, because they don't last. I mean, we've seen trends that are 15-0. You bet the Eagles because the opponent is 0-15 in this combination of situations, and the p-value is terrible. There's no value to it. In fact, it's like it's like a market that gets way overextended and then corrects. And 15-0 may look like, oh God, this is a great game to bet on. That actual angle may work in favor of the opponent, even though it's 15-0. If that makes any sense at all. The bigger they go, the more contrarian they become to me. So anyway, thanks for letting me rant.
Yeah, no, of course, no. But as I said, just to help Kevin out too about they're all part. They're all part, and I use stats myself. Sometimes that's part, and sometimes I rely on a few stats that when I look at, thinking to myself, if there's no other variables in there, that's really good. And yeah, John, you have a bunch of good stats, and there's no doubt about it. And like you said, it's hitting it so a certain percentage of the time. I'm hoping that the variables that I see in that game
Yep.
That's not. It's going to be on the 35% of the time for me tonight, right? On your stats,
Yep.
but I can pull out stats showing you the complete opposite too, right? So
That's
again,
right.
and that's all I was saying. You just need, I guess, the lesson here. And again, you guys, I'm just as for my own doing this for a long, long time, is that use the stats. They're there. A lot of times people will say trend is your friend, and it is true, but only use that as part of it. That's all, just as part of your total handicap. So that's.
And Rob, I'm thinking of way you're talking. It's how I do things as well. The typical professional does 3, 4, and 5%. Maybe that'll help not only Kevin but everybody that comes onto our shows, like how we do the money management part. So if you don't mind talking about that, that would be great.
Yeah, and I'll just, real quick before I head into that, I'll just say a couple of quick things. One on what Don said before. He used an example, Washington -3 in an NFL game, make a case for one side, make a case for another. That's just proper handicapping. If you're looking at a handicap and you see one thing and you say, oh my God, that team's going to kill them, and you're not digging deeper to find out reasons why you shouldn't play that side, then you're doing it all wrong. In the end, you come up with, set A, set B, you weigh it against each other, and if it fits the criteria of however you choose to bet. I mean, myself, I'm much more of a fundamental matchup guy. I don't pay a lot of attention to trends or that type of thing. To me, they get a little bit outdated. They probably were more useful years back when things stayed the same a lot longer than they stay now. But
I agree.
The bottom line to the point is that you have to handicap both sides of a game. Just because you like somebody, you better go look at the other team and figure out how you could get beat on that bet. And then if you still like that side, good, go get it. It's why, guys, the business that we're in is, I won't even say maybe, I think it is, personally, it's the most inexact science that there is. There's a scientific end to this. There's an artistic end of it, because how many times do we play games on gut feel because we've been doing it so long, we've seen this before, and there's not a ton of logic behind it, but you just know. You get that feel that something's going to happen. We project ahead of time. So there's a lot of things that go into it. If one of us knew the exact way to win 90% of the time, believe me. Again, guys have said it before. We wouldn't be telling you guys who to bet these games. Or we'd be bottling it up and selling it to you to teach you how to do it and making a ton of money that way, one or the other. So everybody goes about it different. My only point is that you have to look at both sides of a game. Don brought up a good point. John, money management, I think at Wager Talk, like you say, we play 3, 4, and 5%. I think some guys even go as low as 2%. It's available to us if we want to use 2%. But basically all it is take the set amount of money that you have to bet with, and it better not be all the money in your household, A. And you take that money, just to use $1,000 for an example. If you have $1,000 in your bankroll, you're not trying to build this, or at least we as professionals are not trying to build $1,000 into $200,000 overnight. You hear the phrase, it's a grind, all the time out of people's mouths like myself, and that's exactly what it is. You have to think of it kind of like bank interest, which is non-existent nowadays, but you're moving at that type of pace here. And the recommendations that we make on a daily basis with our players are 3% of your bankroll. Do the math, 3% of $1,000, and that's what you should bet on that game, 4% or 5%, which is the largest play that we use on Wager Talk. And it does two things. A, if you win long-term, your $1,000 is going to be more than $1,000 by the end of the season. It might be $1,200, it might be $1,800, it might be $2,700 if a guy has a really, really great season, but it's going to be more. And it's more than you would collect putting it in the bank and waiting around for it to hit $1,005. So that's part of the reason. The second reason is it keeps you in the game all year long. You can withstand a losing streak with proper money management. How many guys... you guys know how many people come in and buy a Saturday pick, just fly in and buy a Saturday pick off of any of us, or probably whoever has a 5% going, and, bet way too much on that one game, and they're knocked out of the park for the next 2 weeks, and then they come back screaming and yelling about how your 5% play sucked balls. Of course it did,
Yep.
because actually you're the guy who sucked balls because you bet it the wrong way. So it's just that's the technique that they're trying to teach there. If you want to do this in a way that professional bettors who have survived the test of time do it, then you have to take your money and you have to manage it in a certain way. Otherwise, you're a recreational bettor who expects way too much, way too fast. It can happen. Don't get me wrong. Any one of us on any given night could hit a 16 parlay, but we're not going to hit it the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. So that's the reasoning behind that, John. It's just to have people, number one, and I'll go on the sales spiel, all right? I hate to do this because we're
go
not
ahead.
here to sell ourselves, but basically what I think to a man at Wager Talk, I think to a man at the management team, and I think to a man at Sports Memo, our best advice would be buy long term. Don't come in here and buy one day and purchase the play that happens to be the one losing day of the week and then go off and say, handicapper X really sucks. He cost me because I bet his one plan. Say, if you're going to buy a month, buy a season, and if at the end of that you've been hurt, then, you got a right to talk. But for the most part with us, if you're with us for a year, you're not going to lose money. Plain and simple. There's going to be bad weeks along the way. There'll be bad days along the way, but there won't be. Otherwise, to the point of that, we're all playing the same exact games. So we'd be hurting ourselves too. And nobody's bankroll hurts, especially more than the other guys. It's all relative. But we would all be losing money, and we wouldn't be here today still doing this. So that would be my best advice. Daily plays just aren't really it's not a great sample size of what the handicappers, some 50-plus handicappers here, are capable of doing. And just use your money wisely, guys. That's all. We've all been there. Believe me, I talk from experience, guys. I was I was 24 years old once, and, here. And then next thing you know, you have to, back in the day, we had to settle up with a guy who came looking for you. And you know what? There's only so many directions you can run before they find out where you are. So you learn from experience. We're only trying to give you our experience and the way that we found to become successful at it. It's what Wager Talk is trying to do. It's what Sports Memo is trying to do. So just follow the guidelines. If you have the discipline to do it, if you don't, you don't. There's not much I can say, except that we're trying our best to make you guys winners. Believe me, that's all we're trying to do. In the long run, is just to help you learn a little bit more by listening to us. Hopefully, when you walk away from any show, you've learned one more thing than you knew coming into watching the show, and trying to help you find ways to make money that maybe you haven't tried before, and it hasn't led to winning money. That's all. I probably talked way too long, too big of a.
No, it's good.
No, that was excellent, Rob, and I'm just gonna quickly. There's no sense even. You said it perfectly. I'm just gonna touch on. You know what, Rob? You and John should, when you go on his show one-on-one, you need to talk to people about the parlays, because I've had these talks about parlays, and if you really want to do that, whether you should or not, recreationally, probably. If you want to go take a shot like that, but money management wise, in my opinion, no. But I don't want to bring that up to start a big conversation about it. I just thought when you mentioned it that I think you would be the perfect guy to sit down and talk, because you're very articulate. You know exactly how to come across about all these kind of things, and I think that'd be perfect. Just for me, as Rob was saying, there's a lot of stuff on Sports Memo and Wager Talk, and what John's doing here at Sports Memo with all his shows. Really, at the end of the day, we want you take the best of what you see from everyone. So, people. I talked with John about this probably my last show. Not always people like the way you handicap. So at least you get it right up. You see what we're doing, and this guy, we like how he handicaps. Some guys have been, since I was on Wager Talk and now at Sports Memo, I've had the same clients for the last 5 years. And they also they know how. A lot of my clients, they can tell me what play I'm going to be on before I send it to them, because they've learned that much. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, you two guys are in the same spot where clients want to learn. And since there's so many new guys, new people have never been betting before, my suggestion is watch all the great content at Wager Talk and Sports Memo even before you start betting into your bankroll. Now watch and learn, and then you can go out and buy some plays, buy long-term packages, as Rob says, even like 30 days with a guy that is running hotter, or a guy that you talk to other people. There's chat rooms, there's places that you could talk to people, and take everything with a grain of salt too. Don't take it for verbatim, right? Take it with a grain of salt. And if you're going to do this, gather a lot of information.
Well, you guys don't know that Sports Memo did this for me, but it's perfect. So, I don't like to promote myself, and I have difficulty. So this is what Sports Memo came up with just for me, because I've been running pretty hot, and it segues right into the long-term subscription. So it's a month access for only $99. That's so cheap. If you don't have $99, I almost feel like giving it to you. Not because I think I'm going to win or do any better than anybody else, but to Buster and Rob's point, that's essentially 40 days to see how this is done on a day-to-day basis. And then you'll learn, you'll get $999 worth of knowledge, experience, and wisdom over that 40 days, regardless of what the record ends up being. But all three of us have excellent track records. Rob has been the #1 NBA handicapper over at Wager Talk back-to-back years, which has been done so few times that we think it's actually only done once before by Dave Koken a long time ago. I guess, 15 years ago is what the estimate was. So when you go back-to-back years, #1 at Wager Talk in that big a pond, that's an accomplishment. And I do like bragging about that. But across the board, you get invited to be part of this group, this crew, and they don't bring you on unless you're I'd like to think worthy to have the opportunity to be part of this team, and it is a team. You'll never find a website in the world that actually cheers on the other guys. Like Buster could have a 5%er, and I will promote him on Twitter. Rob will do the same thing. Tony Finn will promote, the same way. We're all doing this together, and it's wonderful. I mean, it's just a terrific atmosphere, and it produces winning because we're not fighting against each other. We're not cannibals trying to get sales. So, it's...
And just talking about that, John, you might want to mention it is $2 Tuesday at Wager Talk and Sports Memo. So I believe Wager Talk, Stat Daddy, Ralph Michaels has got his $2 play up, and Joe D'Amico has got his play at Sports Memo, both $2. And that is what we do here, because remember, and I've said this like going back 4 or 5, we're not against each other. We are against the book. We are trying to do this for us and to help people learn. And that's what, and I think Rob was saying when the guys started this 5-6 years ago at Wager Talk, that was their what they had in mind, and it has grown exponentially. So it's done well, and I think because of what you said, John, because of the guys truly do wish everyone good luck and good wishes.
Yeah,
we're not, no one's jealous here, like, because we've all been here. We're older, a lot of us are older guys, and the younger guys, they take up that same, I noticed that they take up that same way of thought process too, where you don't get these guys that are jealous on there, and if you do, a lot of those guys, I'm sure, won't be around for too much longer on our website. So it is a team, and it starts from the top. The girls in head office are unbelievable. They look after our customers. We couldn't even do this without them doing that, and of course the owners. So I'm glad for you, John, that they've gave you the opportunity to do these shows. And like I said, you've been working really hard, and all the best to you, brother.
Yeah, thanks, man. I don't even feel like we have to play the Kumbaya song on that. I mean,
I'm just saying. Like,
no, I mean, I'm kidding when I say it, but yeah.
We are trying. At the end of the day, I'm sitting on here trying to help, giving out a free play, trying to help. You could either watch or you don't watch. It doesn't matter. I'm just, that's what we're doing. Rob's here every day. He's just trying to help people improve and help down the road, because we know there's a lot of young guys out there that are watching this that want to, to go out there and gamble, because it's now you can go to almost every state. What is it, up to 42 or something like that? Now that you can legally gamble
Arizona.
in each state. And now today in Canada, I'll be going back there in a couple of weeks, you can single game play. At one time, you could not go anywhere in Canada to single game play, just as it wasn't in the United States where you could only go to Nevada. You couldn't even, in Atlantic City, you couldn't bet. So now they just passed the law. I don't know when it'll all take effect, but they passed the law. So this September, when I'm still in Canada, I'll be able to go into probably one of our casinos and throw $500 on Washington -3. I don't know why I keep using them, but they are my favorite team.
Whatever team it is, you will have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. So
and that's a good point, Buster, because there's not, and I'm not being corny about this. There's times where we end the show, and I'm reminded that Rob Vino and Tony Finn have been doing shows together for 30 years, and I'm kind of like the new guy here. And there are times like I feel really lucky to have that kind of knowledge and wisdom on a show. I mean, you can't be a bad host when you have good guests. So, Joe D'Amico likes to always say that, we're the best looking guys he has ever seen. And I always remind him that I may not be the best host he's ever seen, but I have the best guests. So, that is true.
Sorry, Rob, go ahead.
Real quick, there's a ton. Every time you guys talk, it triggers something in my head. But there's a ton of experience. You look up and down these rosters that Wager Talk has put together. Sports Memo, like you guys said, does have a lot of up and coming guys, younger guys. But on that Wager Talk roster, there's a ton of experience and knowledge put together there. And we do a lot of work, guys, and it's a profession, at least in my personal opinion. Since I got into radio and into this business, it's always been my idea or my thought that it is a profession, and like in any other profession, you have to be able to show somebody something new. Like I said before, at least one new thing that they didn't know before. That being said, with the handicappers there, we all do a lot of shows, and I would say, to your guys' point, that there's no ego in the room big enough to where when I do NBA tip-off with, like today I'm on with Teddy and Ski, or if I'm on with Steve Merril or whoever, or any show that I do, we all learn from each other. I mean, there's things that I hear said on that show that maybe I didn't look at. I'm picking up a thing or two. I'm not saying it's going to convince me which way to play a game, but I'm saying that every single guy here is putting in the work, and you can learn from every one of them, and us as handicappers learn from each other. I mean, so how many times you guys see on amongst ourselves, maybe in Slack or even on Twitter, where if we don't follow a sport and another one of our colleagues does, we're tailing their stuff. I mean, Carmine Bianco knows. I mean, how many people tail Carm on a soccer player or whatnot because we know that he does the work and he knows. So we're always learning. I've been in this business 29 years now. I'm still learning every single day, and I think I put in a expletive ton of work time. But
you have to.
I listen to other guys talk. Ralph Michaels, you mentioned him. Don, I do a college football show with Ralph, and you can't help but walk away and know something that you didn't know before that show started when you're dealing with Ralph. So to everybody, and again, I hate to promote the company this much, but I think it's rightful in this conversation that we do. And just to let the folks out there know that we're not here. And again, Don, one of the things you said was put best that all we're trying to do is take money from the other side of the counter. That's all. So, I mean, if I get mine, I don't care if you get yours. If I got mine, you get yours too. I'll try and get you there. So that's all. I'm going to stop right there because otherwise I'll just get in a tirade. It does bug me, though, guys. It's something that does bug me is we've all been places or times when you see the way it's done wrong. I mean, personally, I came from a boiler room industry. Not industry, boiler room place. And you see how it's done wrong. with yelling and screaming and fake knowledge and people that don't put in any time. And in football season, those come out of the woodwork, and it's the exact opposite of what Johnny and management tried to start here. Trying to do it the right way, trying to show you guys that we have some knowledge, that we do work. We're giving you our results every single day, which other people will just throw a BS number at you. I'm 50-1, my last 51 mega house plays. You know what I mean? It leads you to, if you have any integrity at all, it leads you to a place like this, like Wager Talk, like Sports Remember, where you go to work every day and you understand that the other guy that you're working with or a colleague of is also doing it the same way. You know, when you see it done wrong, you just shake your head. And, you know, as somebody who's been around since the 70s betting, this industry has come through a lot of things, you know, that aren't good. And it put a black eye on this industry for a long, long time. But I think that companies like this are starting to kind of, you know, wipe that blemish off of this industry. So for those watching, again, I'm not saying run out and buy Rob Vino, run out and buy Don Buster, run out and buy John Ryan. I'm just telling you that we're here. We're doing the work for you. We're trying to put you in the best position to win. When I first moved to Las Vegas and I really wasn't that savvy yet, I met a guy who told me that's all gambling is. That's all sports betting is putting yourself in the best position to win. You're not going to win 100% of the time, but at least if you do the work to put yourself in the right spot, you'll win more often than not. You'll win more of those coin flips than you lose. Although, guys, we do tend to bitch about the coin flips that we lose a little bit more. You remember those, they hurt more. So
yeah, you do, don't you, Rob? Yeah.
That's my spiel, John. I'm sorry for taking up so much time.
No, it's been real good, Rob. I appreciate you doing it.
You know,
it's such a huge lesson for these guys and gals. You know, they're starting out in this. It's dangerous, you know. And Steve Merril and I talk about Bitcoin, and you know that got a correction, that got a wake up call, and you know, and you can learn so many lessons from it. But there's nothing wrong with paper trading, and that's what it was called before you actually did real trading. You would watch the markets. You would, and one of you guys said it. There's nothing wrong with taking an idea that you come up with and running with it, but you're not required to bet it to do a proof of concept. You know, proof of concept would be that if you did it on paper and you really examined it and how you got the lines and how much you won by and it works, then great for you. Then start out, but start out slowly. You know, start out with the pizza money bet. And that's kind of, we kid about that, but that's so important. And you know, the 3, 4, and 5% is huge, because that, I know for myself, it keeps me out of trouble, because there are going to be those Saturday afternoons that you lose the noon football game, and it's just one of those days. You know, you know you're the fire hydrant, you're not the dog. You have your bets in, and you spend time with the family, and you realize you're going to go like 1-5 or 2-4, or maybe you go 0-6. It happens. But if you get crazy and try to bet Arizona State to win everything you lost, and it's a 10 o'clock game at night, that's just not something you want to do.
Listen, when the degenerate special on Saturday night becomes your largest play of the day, that usually means you're in trouble.
And you've had more than 6 IPAs.
Yeah, and that carries over to Sunday. Because once that degenerate special goes down the drain, then the 1 o'clocks become Eastern time. I'm talking, of course, 10 o'clock if you're on the Pacific Coast. Then they become your largest bets. Then, you know, that's
a whole nother story, right, Rob?
That'll flush you down the drain real quick. Those weekends happen.
Yeah.
It's
never chase, even though you're tempted. But that's something that we all did when we were younger, and you learn from that. That's something that we've all learned from, that you just don't chase no matter what, because if that Arizona State game at 10 o'clock at night or whatever it is, you know, the 10 Eastern, whatever, and if that's your last game and you already didn't have it as a, you know, $500 wager, $1,000 wager, it's not one now.
And it's certainly not a $5,000 wager, because you're down $4,500.
Yeah, and exactly. luckily to keep people, I mean, it doesn't totally keep people from hurting themselves, but nowadays, luckily, you have to post up in most spots. So once you drain it, you've drained it, and you can't hurt yourself any further. But we all know that there's people that'll reload and go and go and go the same way until they get it back. We all know them. We've all done it. But it's a little bit better having to post up than it is being on credit and being able to do whatever you want until Sunday night football comes and then having Monday morning happen. Guys, real quick, I'll say this just from the knowledge standpoint, just from hopefully us being able to have viewers take something from us that's meaningful or something that they didn't know. When I came to town in 1991 into Las Vegas, I mean, somebody I listened to and followed, and I'm in a large boat where this is concerned, in a large boat. But I think the late, great Dave Malinsky was a handicapper of choice for a ton of us. And Dave wrote for Winning Points, I think, the newsletter, which was big in the and Don, probably yourself. I mean, Wednesday morning or whatever it was in your city when these newsletters came out, you're flying to the newsstand to buy Gold Sheet, Winning Point, Sports Report, or whatever it may be, point-wise. There was a whole boatload of them. Dave was a writer for them. But Dave was one of the most intelligent handicappers I ever heard. And for somebody who nowadays thinks that I know a lot, think that I do a lot of work, to know a lot, that guy, it taught me some rituals and some ways to look deeper into things that I would have never, ever thought of as a novice bettor. When that guy's telling me I can firmly remember an instance in like 1991, 1992. He used to be on the Stardust line in Las Vegas, KDAWN 720, nighttime with Arnie Lang, I think. And I'll never forget they would do the college schedule, the college board off the openers on Sunday night for next Saturday's games. And they would go down, and Dave would get an in-depth analysis on every single game, how he got his work together that fast. Believe me, I still can't do it that fast. I can make power ratings and numbers for games, but I can't have the analysis ready on Sunday night the way he had it. And one day, or one night, I'm listening to him, and he's talking about how he's going to play against Air Force because they were going to be playing on an artificial surface. And at their facility, their practice facility, they didn't even have artificial surface. And the other team was a speed team and stuff that I would have never thought of back then 30 years ago as to why Team A would have an advantage over Team B, even though on paper they looked like they were, point spread-wise, they were identical. That game happened to be like a 2.5-point number. So you don't think one side has a monster edge. But the way he broke it down systematically from stuff I would never look at, it just taught me to read more, look harder, go deeper, and with a whole new wave. Don, you talked about how these states are legalizing sports betting all across the country and in Canada. With so many new bettors to the market here, you got to start somewhere. So hopefully all the experience that we have, we can teach you a little something to do it right from the get-go, as opposed to us who, and I'll speak for myself here, didn't do it right from the get-go and grew into a lot of knowledge and a lot of better habits. So hopefully that's what we're giving to you. But Dave Malinsky was a guy that I have to tell you was as good as it gets. So hopefully we can be that good.
Yeah, it's awesome you brought him up. Awesome.
I competed against him, guys. The Stardust used to have an invitational during football season. They would invite who they thought were 16 of the sharpest minds into a winner-take-all contest, split it up first round, 8 matchups, and winner move on, winner move on, winner move on. The first year I was invited in was 1996, maybe, and my first opponent is Dave Malinsky, and I'm like, Jesus, what the hell am I going to do here? Throw me to the Lions or to the Wolves. But it was the first time I got to meet him. Genuinely a great guy, and it worked out better for him that night than it did for me. I think that contest was pick 7 plays, and whoever gets the better of the 7 moves on. And Dave had a better week than I did, but
it's an honor to be invited to that, Rob, and to be matched up against him is probably even greater honor looking back on it.
Yeah, I mean, you're driving. My wife and I, we were living there at the time, and we're driving down the strip, and I used to make fun of it all the time because you go past Caesars and you see on the marquee Celine Dion and you see all these big names, and you go to Stardust and on the marquee it had Rob Vino, and I'm like, which one of these does not belong? Friday night, Dave Malinsky versus Rob Vino. So kind of funny, but obviously those are keepsakes forever. You take a picture of that, you blow it up, you save it forever. It reminded me when Jimmy just left us, how Jimmy was saying, about us being older and looking up to us. Or I think maybe it was, John, when you were trying to fix the technical difficulties, he was just talking to me about Teddy and whatnot. And Dave Malinsky was kind of that guy for me. Everybody's got to have that guy.
Absolutely.
Or more than one guy to mold and shape what they do. So, hey, listen, I don't think we take on, or we're not going to run around claiming to be role models, but where this business is concerned,
definitely not.
Where this endeavor, sports betting, is concerned, and trying to win games at night against the point spread, I think that, I can vouch for the other guys on the Wager Talk and Sports Memo rosters that they're pretty good choices to help you make a little bit of money.
No doubt. We're gonna have to put this on the green shelf too, because this I can trim this video out to take the last 45 minutes or whatever it's been.
It's been more
because this is probably the most important.
101, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the most important thing to learn right away. I didn't get to be and I don't want to sound like it's bragging. I didn't become an All-American as I woke up one day and decided I was going to do it. I had coaches, I had faculty advisors, keeping my head on straight. And when you're 16, 17 years old and you kind of know you're pretty good, it's real easy to get full of yourself. And I had really good parents that kept me rooted, and anytime I would get a little full of myself, believe me, my dad carried a pretty heavy hand, and verbally said, of course, but when you center yourself, they oftentimes talk about your inner circle of five. You have five. If you're an athlete, you have five of the most important people surrounding you for that hobby, that endeavor, that goal. Doesn't mean that you have only 5 friends in the world. You could have as many as you want, but there's those 5 key people that are your mentors in every aspect that you need to be guided on. And nobody does anything great in a vacuum. Jack Nicklaus didn't wake up and decide, man, this looks like fun. I think I'll play golf the rest of my life. Some of those guys, I mean, they're a great example. Tony Gwynn, what did he do before a game? Put 300 balls on a tee. A tee. And some guys had such big egos, T-ball, are you kidding me? What are you going to do, coach pitch next? But that's how he became great. And you can go right down the list. And, the names that Rob talked about, Arnie Lang, Malinsky, and I would have to say everybody at Wager Talk for sure, and the large majority at Sports Memo, we all know that lesson. We all know it. And you don't get anywhere by yourself. You don't do anything in a vacuum and succeed. And you need people around you that care about you to bring out the best in you. And again, bringing it back to the beginning, that's what makes it so awesome to be part of the team and work at a place like Sports Memo and Wager Talk. And it really is a great privilege. It's a privilege. But that was great, guys. I mean, I really take the betting part seriously, and even before it wasn't legal and I was doing this as a hobby and trying to help people, it truly was that, because I saw the shows in the 90s, and I saw guys saying, we have inside locker room information, and you'll be able to bet everything you own and give your girlfriend a big diamond ring at the end of the day, and you'll get married, and she'll love you forever. And I would sit back and go, wait a minute, is this a comedy, or do people really listen to this and act on it? And then you realize they act on it, and unfortunately there's horror story after horror story after horror story of people really wrecking their lives. And I saw on Wall Street where you could get leverage to the gills, and if it didn't go your way, one, you're going to get fired, and 2, you're probably going to be out a ton of money personally, and it just makes you so cautious. So it's always been so ironic, oh, John, you traded commodity futures like soybeans and stuff? Oh, yeah. Wow, you're a speculator. Well, maybe. cautious. There's a word in front of it. And even in the betting, there's like if I put out a 5-unit, I'll be honest with you, and I have big sales in it, I'm more concerned about winning that game, and I get a little superstitious. And there are times where I have not bet the game, thinking that it's going to help my clients win the game. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I think when your head's in that spot and you're not caring about the fact that you just did 300 sales on a 5-unit play and you're more concerned about winning it for them, I think that's the difference between our shops and anybody else on the planet. It's so true.
Well,
I love that you brought those names up. That is awesome.
I'll tell you, Rob, maybe we could have a show next Tuesday where you can talk about that boiler room stuff. I know a little bit about it. I've never been in one, but I mean, from everything from what I've been told, it was pretty interesting. I know the whole premise of it, and it's sad that that's how it was. And I'm glad. I know they're still out there, right? They're still out there, but more and more people are now with the internet. They're starting to learn. But I'd like to hang around more. But I see Mrs. Buster say let's roll. We got a dinner date to go to.
Let's do real
going. So
final picks real quick. We don't have to even do a rundown. Mine was, but mine is not the Suns. My free pick is actually the over in the Suns Clippers game, and I was presenting that system because it's a system. We went through the reasons why and that's good. So my free pick is the over 224.5 in that game 2 tonight. And I think if Don wins his, it's going to fly over because that means the Clippers are going to outperform their team total. So I actually like the team total on the Clippers.
That sounds good.
Yep. So, Don, your free pick is Montreal Canadiens team?
Montreal first period on the money line, plus 175. I think it's a good play, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully Montreal can come out and have the same kind of first period like they've had for the first 4 games. So we'll see.
Awesome. Good luck to you tonight, really. I'll be cheering you on.
Go ahead.
And Mr. Vino, you can bring up the anchor here tonight.
All right, do we want to let Don go? Because I'll talk a little bit here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Don, you have to go. Go ahead.
And I'll watch Rob on my phone on my way out to make sure I bet your play. So
You got it, buddy.
thanks for having me on. And
You got it. Thanks, Buster.
We'll see you later in the week. Take care, guys.
You
Have a
got it,
good one.
man. Appreciate it. See you.
All right, yeah, he had to go somewhere, so I didn't want to do a couple minutes worth of analysis and have him just hang around real quick. But I guess I'll just leave the people with this one, John. I'll go to Major League Baseball and look at Toronto and Miami from a first 5 angle. Tonight, the pitchers on the hill, Ross Stripling on the Toronto side, and Sandy Alcantara, one of my favorite guys to bet 5-inning plays with for the Miami Marlins. But let's look at Stripling first. And remember, we're only looking at this game from a 5-inning perspective. Forget about your full game stats and all that other stuff, guys' ERAs, it doesn't matter in 5 innings. We're trying to narrow this down to just these 2 starters. So with Stripling, the last 4 games that he's pitched, if you just go through the 5 innings in the box, his last start was against the Yankees. In 5 innings, he allowed 1 run. Start before that, he was at Fenway Park against the Red Sox. He allowed 1 run in 5 innings. Game before that, he was home against the Houston Astros. First 5 innings, he allowed 1 run. That's the Yankees at home, 1 run. Boston at Fenway, 1 run. Houston at home, 1 run. And then at Cleveland, 4 starts ago, only allowed 1 run in first 5 innings. So there's a pretty good trend there. He's only allowed 1 run in each of his last 4 starts in the first 5 innings. And I emphasized at Fenway, John, but the 2 home games, remember that they play in that bandbox in Buffalo. So he faced the Yankee lineup in Buffalo, and he faced the Houston Astro lineup, which is number 1 OPS versus righties and lefties now after last night, and only gave up 1 run in Buffalo. These are not...
It's impressive.
So it's a pretty good run for him. Miami's offense doesn't resemble any of those, right? Miami's offense is bottom 3rd as a home offense. It's a tough park to score runs anyway. I'll get into that in a second. And they're bottom third versus right-handed pitching. Stripling's a right-hander tonight. So those things all work in our favor. Marlins Park, which I just talked about, there's been 33 home stadiums this year simply because Toronto's used 2. Of those 33 home stadiums, the offensive production in Miami this year is 33rd out of 33 parks. So you've got a pitcher's park. You've got Ross Stripling, who's red hot through 5 innings. His last 4 starts against an offense that's bottom third in most places where it counts. Alcantara, real quick. When you're facing Toronto, John, the first thing you think of is the power in that lineup. This guy's now gone 26 full innings without allowing a home run. That's a good thing. I separated out his 5-inning starts to home and away because his splits are different, and rightfully so, right? Miami's such a great pitcher's park. The rest of his away starts would be different. His home whip this year, 0.88. His home ERA, 2.38. His home batting average against, 184. And take a look. He's made 7 home starts this year. In those 7 home starts, first 5 innings, he's allowed 2, 2, 1, 1, and then 3 straight shutouts his last 3. So 6 runs in 7 starts in the first 5 innings of all 7 of those games. Pretty good numbers. I know Toronto's
awesome
lineup,
numbers.
but this guy's been really good here. They played this game, or Alcantara started against this team in that Buffalo Stadium on June 1st. The score at the end of 5 was 4-1. In this game, we're looking for under 4 runs. That one happened to, score 5. There was a 3-run homer. In fact, his last home run that Alcantara's allowed to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in that game. But just Buffalo and Miami are different stadiums here. So that 4-1 kind of encourages me that this one would be – that one only hit 5 in Buffalo. So it encourages me that this one would stay under 4 here in Miami. One last thing real quick. Because it's a National League park, there's no DH for Toronto. In their case, it means they probably have to take their cleanup hitter, Teoscar Hernandez, out of the lineup. If they don't, it means they have to take their center fielder, Randall Grichuk, out of the lineup. I don't think they'll take the center fielder out. I think they'll take the bat out. One less bat always helps. So I'm going to play first 5 innings here for the viewers, Toronto, Miami, under the 4 runs. I think you have to lay $1.15 with that. But to me, it didn't seem that expensive, so that's where I'll go with the free play.
Oh, I love it. And to your point of the conversation we had for the last better part of an hour, I mean, there you go. I mean, you don't wake up and decide to do game breakdowns like you just heard. It takes years of research and experience, and then when you hear it, it's like listening to a virtuoso violinist, and I kid you not. So, that's professional breakdown at its finest. Real good stuff, Rob.
Thank you, sir. We have to cash it now. That's what, it looks
That's
good.
true, yeah.
And again, like we said before, you're trying to put yourself in the best position to win, right? Everything I rattled off there, when I bet the game myself, I thought I'm in a pretty good position with this game. They don't always turn out. But, again, if you do it that way, more often than not, they are going to go your way. And in our business, it doesn't sound like a lot. But I know you and I, we've been on shows before where we've said it. 54% correct is a pretty good living in this business. And you have to do 52.8 against a 10-cent vig. You have to do 52.8, right, to be okay or to break even. And then when you start getting above that, people might not want to hear 54, 55%. Oh, well, you're just mediocre. It's really not, guys. It's mediocre enough to make you a good living. That's what it is. And when it gets beyond that, in real good years, you talked about Dave Koken before, and I'll just make one quick statement on Dave. Dave did back-to-back college football seasons with Wager Talk, which has been in existence since 2014. So it's somewhere within the last 7 years Dave went back-to-back college football. And I believe I was reading somewhere a thing put out by Wager Talk where Dave hasn't had a losing college football season, but he has had back-to-back number ones.
Wow.
Since he became Wager Talk. So Dave is probably one guy in this industry that's been here longer than me. He was already established when I got there in 91. So Dave obviously full of college football knowledge. And I think I don't want to sell our other co-host Tony Finn short. Tony won back-to-back number ones at Wager Talk in NFL. I think he said it almost was 4. I think it maybe was even 3, almost 4 for him, right? So Tony's done it in NFL. Dave has done it in college football. I'm happy to say that I did it in NBA. But again, on their best seasons, I mean, to win college football, I think Dave hits 63%. If you're hitting 63%, guys, you're rich. You're rich. So don't fall for the false claims of, we can all hit 90% short term. We've all gone 9-1. We all have, every single one of us. But there's none of us sitting here that are, 9,000 and 1,000 for 90%.
Right.
So it doesn't happen. Hopefully this Miami-Toronto game puts everybody in a position to cash a ticket.
Yeah, I agree. I can say I was number one at Sports Memo in NFL and college football and NFL combined. I think I was third college football, but I'm motivated now by hearing the back-to-back years. And I must admit, to get to 65.8, I think I went 18-4 over my last 22, including the playoffs. And, the Super Bowl to me is, I shouldn't say because the betting gods will kill me, but I'm 18-5 in the Super Bowl. And I actually did show the proof behind that to some of, when I first came on board here, because it wasn't a question of whether I was telling the truth. They just wanted to see the games. And believe me, the horseshoe was where it was supposed to be on several occasions that I played the Patriots, where my analysis had nothing to do with the outcome, but it was a cash. And for whatever reason in the Super Bowl, I haven't had that bad beat. It's going to come. It's going to come. But for now, you mentioned Super Bowl, and I kind of get fired up about it. But you're absolutely right. You have to have those runs and then kind of tread water. Like even Jimmy Adams, 72% Major League Baseball. And that's pretty damn good when you consider it's close to 80 picks. But it's done over time. And he had a 17-0 streak within that. And obviously, if you remove that hot streak, the record comes plummeting down. So you need to have those runs and then manage the runs after that when things don't go nearly as well. But it's all good stuff. And I guess it wouldn't be...
It sounds a lot easier than it is, John, because when you just said your NFL was 65.8, for those who are watching, that's winning 2 out of every 3 bets, basically. It's rounded off to 66%. You're winning 2 out of every 3 bets. It's not easy. It sounds easy. Hell yeah, I can go 2-1. I can win 2 out of 3. You do it over the course of time, long time. It's not easy. Believe me, it's not easy, and most of us don't do that for an entire year. So those numbers that are in the 50s, when you see those, you can believe those. When a guy tells you, yeah, in NBA season I hit 56%, it's believable. And it also has made you a ton of money. So, it's a profession like anything else. We treat it as a profession, and we do our best just to get you to the winner's circle. That's all. I mean, I hope you all get there, because if you guys do that, listen to me and want to tail, if you do, that means I did. So, as I said before, as long as I get mine, I don't care who else gets theirs. Get it.
The more the merrier.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess we're at the end of this show. And, guys, make sure you get over to Wager Talk and get any of Rob's long-term subscriptions. I think I'm going to start, not even saying like 5-unit pick goes tonight, but I guess 5-unit pick, I could say that, because those are special picks. But it's better to get the deals, and I'm pleased that Sportsmano put that together, that promo for just $99 for the next basically 40 days of my stuff. And I promise you will see the hard work. You will benefit from it. You'll see what goes into a pick and why it is a 4-unit pick, why it is a 3-unit pick, and that I'm not just sitting here saying, yeah, Minnesota looks good tonight. Yeah. It's not like that at all. And it doesn't even start like that. So we try to differentiate ourselves as a group, and I think clearly we have. So anyway, thanks as always, Rob, for being on the show. And we always miss our cousin Finn, right?
We do, and this is going to be my last chance to see him for the next few days, because I'm going to be away Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so I won't get to see Tony the rest of the week. So we do miss him. Hopefully everything's good there. Before we go, though, John, we want to wish Kevin Riley a happy birthday to hear. 60 years old.
Yes, absolutely.
Big deal. Congratulations, Kevin. Happy 60th.
I would have never guessed. The over-under in that, I don't know what I would have put it at. It definitely would have been lower than 60. As a compliment.
There you go.
Yeah, real good stuff. And thanks to the whole chat room. That's a good thing to mention. We have some guys that come on here every single day. Our numbers are going up every single week, and it's because of you guys that we're successful. So if you think our stuff is supportive and you like it, just take a moment and give us a like, ring the bell. It's fun, and it takes about 5 seconds to show that you liked it, and that helps us do better and better shows because we can see that, oh wow, we had that many likes. Now we're gonna keep doing that. So it's all good and greatly appreciated. So Rob, have a great night, highly profitable. Be safe the next couple of days. I will take a screenshot of one of these videos so that you're on the show. I promise you will be on the show. You might not be able to talk, but at least we'll have your picture there. And I think that's about it. So for the Predictive Playbook, Sports Memo TV, Wager Talk TV, may all the wins be yours.